Ear training. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. For those of you who prefer watching only the first 2 minutes of the video, you will like this one because I'm going to tell you the plan straight off and then work backwards from there. First, you must understand the recipe. Here it is. Your ear and your brain think of the music, and then your fingers package it for others to hear. That's the winning formula for composers right there. If it sounds simple, that's because it is. Here it is one more time. First, you think or hear the music inside your brain. Then your fingers notate it, either in the sequencer or on sheet music paper where others may consume it. It's historically an accurate recipe. Let your brain lead the process. Now, there are people out there who can think of amazing music but lack the tools to put it into concrete form. Likewise, there are people out there who have all the tools in the world to capture the music, but nothing musically interesting to say. All of the world's great composers had to work to conquer these two elements of composition, the genesis of the idea and the preservation of the idea in some form. You must be good at both to succeed. Now, this is solely from the perspective of a composer. The formula is different for improvising musicians, classical string players, and others, but for us composers, it's this order. Think of the music, then capture it. For us, it doesn't matter if our brain arrives at the musical solution 15 seconds or 15 minutes later, as long as it gets it done. Once you understand this concept, the plan goes like this. Work hard enough to get your fingers in a place where they can honestly and without restraint commit anything your brain thinks of into your desired form. Then continue your studies mostly from the brain's point of view. It doesn't matter how you arrive at that point, just work to arrive there. Once your fingers become good enough at their task, all the music you hear all day becomes free ear training. Listening to the radio at the grocery store, ear training. Listening to music while at the gym, ear training. Gaming with a score on, ear training. Your fingers are the technical element and your brain is the creative element. Both of them must be worked on and practiced. So now my 2 minutes are up. That's the plan. Now let's get a little technical. I began my musical life as a pianist. I didn't even write a single note until my sophomore year in college. During my junior year, when I wanted to leave the piano for composition, I had to invest a lot of my musical energies into learning the creative parts of composing. Even though I had a head start with my ability to read music, at first all I could manage was a lead sheet with chords in the key of C. This is literally the first piece of music I ever wrote. A few months later, I managed this childish piece for piano, which took me about a week to write, but at least it was in D flat. Shortly after that, I could write this fantasy for winds and solo piano. How did I get to a place like this? I literally still have the pile of piano reductions that I made at the university library. I was there every free moment of my day. When I wasn't there or in class or practicing my recital, I was trying to write. I attended all of the orchestra rehearsals with the score in my hand. When I saw one of the viola majors in the hallway, I made her explain string crossings to me. When I saw the harpist at the idle hour, I made her explain harp harmonics to me. I was at it all day, and I continue that trend to this day. Today I have 2 giant bookshelves of scores with tabs and notes scribbled all over. I've transcribed music that I can't find the scores to. I've spent hours playing through full scores on the piano. Above all, I spend hours each day studying scores with as many different recordings as I can find. At this point in my life, at the age of 43 years old, I've studied enough that when I hear an orchestral composition, I can hear the separation of the instruments live inside my brain, and I don't need the score to make sense of it. I don't mean to brag, quite the opposite. I mean to prove the formula set forth earlier in this video. At this point, I think I've finally studied enough with my fingers that I can afford to spend more time studying with my ears. You've just heard my path, yours will be different. So now that I've graduated to a point where I can study more with my ears, what do I do with it? I listen to music literally all day. Almost every moment I am not working, I have something playing. If I'm cutting vegetables, I have something on. If I'm taking the garbage out, I have my headphones on. If I'm driving to the deli, I'm guaranteed to have something on. It doesn't matter if it's Shostakovich, Mozart, or Rage Against the Machine. I listen and then listen more. For I know that just by listening, I am contributing to my musical bank account. It's making me a better composer. One Christmas, my parents got me a box set of Hitchcock movies, which I've become quite attached to. So much so that recently when I set out to write a classical piece with influences of the film music of that period, it was manageable for me to do so. Recently, I was hired by MGM to transcribe some episodes of Lost Tom and Jerry cartoon scores. And when I decided to take a shot at writing in that style, I was able to make a fair stab at it. All this serves to prove a point. To succeed in this endeavor, you have to fully commit to it. You can't buy your way out of it. All of the great composers whom I know personally obsess over the art. As John Williams once said, this isn't something we do on the weekends. Speaking on Williams for a moment, I want to make one further point. When Williams writes great music, he isn't getting lucky during the writing process. He is writing at the level of his musicality. He is a great composer because he possesses a great musicality. He is quite factually a learned composer. During the writing process, John Williams is mostly writing with the same amount of effort you put into your music. He might get 30 seconds done before lunch and another minute or so after that before going home for the day. You can probably do the same. Some days more, some days less. His brilliance comes not from magic. Rather, he is making good musical decision after good musical decision. The culmination of all these good musical decisions results in a great piece of music. His musical command dictates the quality of his music and the quality of his decisions. For me, what it comes down to is this. He is simply a brilliant decision maker. You may rightly argue that some of this has been granted by Providence, but the truth of the matter is that he had to spend time training his brain and fingers, just like the rest of all of this. To conclude, I want to tell you the answer I got when I asked someone a question who was with Williams during the writing process for one of his recent scores. I asked the person what they heard during the writing process. Was he improvising madly at the piano? Was he plucking away at melodies with one finger? What did they hear? The answer shocked me. Only the pencil sharpener. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a little while since I made one, but I'm doing my best to do this while being a full-time music composer and a student of music. Hopefully I'll get around to making more of these videos. And if you have a topic that you'd like covered, add it in the comments below and hopefully we'll get around to it. If you like what you're hearing, perhaps journey on over to Stratasound and support our work by purchasing a course during our Black Friday sale. See you next video.